Hi, it's Lori Hawk with Elga Credit Union, working with you to become financially fit. The topic we're going to talk about is being prepared for college. Now, if you're sending your kids into high school, this is probably a great seminar for you to really think about years prior to going. If you are the college student ready to head off, there will be some valuable information in here for you as well. I'd like to first talk to you about around the sophomore year point. You might want to think about AP as well as dual enrollment classes, one track or the other. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the pros of both kinds of studies. So with the AP courses, the plus is that you're getting actual college credit in high school. So with an AP course, because it's advanced placement, you will be taking a course that is actually much higher than a entry-level college class. At the end of that class, you will be given an opportunity to take a test for X amount of dollars, and then you will be able to basically test out of taking that exact course in college. Now, that will cost you a little bit of money, but what I'm going to tell you is it's significantly lower than what 3 or 4 credits in college would actually cost you. So the first benefit is it's much cheaper than paying for college. The second thing is you're doing it while you're going to high school, so you're getting credit toward your high school diploma as well as college credit at the same exact time. Now, you'll be offered a couple of those classes your sophomore year, several your junior year, and several more your senior year. That could really help you with somewhere between 6 to 10 classes done well before ever going. That could be a full year of college under your belt prior to going to school, and for much cheaper. Now, if you're thinking, yeah, AP classes are not for me, that's okay. AP classes are not for everybody. Another option is dual enrollment. If your high school is getting credit for you going to their high school and they're allowing you to dual enroll in a local community college, then you could actually go to college for half a day and go to high school for half a day. And those will both count for you for that high school year. But what those college courses are doing for you is your high school's paying for the majority of it prior to you going, and your books. That is a big time savings before you ever enroll in college. A lot of people going through dual enrollment have a full associate's degree before they'll ever enter college. That's 2 years completed. That gives you 2 good options. The first option is it is so much cheaper when you go on to college and you have 2 years completed, which barely costs you anything. The second thing is you've experienced enough college courses by that time that you kind of have an idea of what college is going to be like and if it's for you. And finally, the third benefit is that you kind of understand a little bit more about some of those courses, and it might help you make that decision about what truly you'd like to study rather than making that decision without having taken any courses. A great thing to think about. Now I'd like to talk to those of you about what is going to happen in your senior year if you could do it right and do it right from the start. So first of all, I want to encourage you to make multiple visits to your guidance counselor. They are going to be your key to knowing about all available scholarships. All of the scholarships that are local as well as external from different colleges will be sent to your guidance counselor's office. There are scholarships for obscure things. Some people have them as a memory of their child or a family member, and that scholarship is tailored to the things that that child liked. It might be a certain sport with a certain GPA. It might be somebody involved in a certain club or a certain activity. But the key is when those scholarships are coming into the guidance counselor's office, they're making those available sometimes on a slat wall. Sometimes you have to ask. You need to understand the guidelines for your exact high school in the counselor's office. So get to know your guidance counselor. They will be your key to knowing about everything that's available out there. Apply for scholarships early and often. Some of those scholarships will only be available for a small window of time. So you need to make sure that you know how long you have to apply and if it's just an application, if it's an essay, if it's a video, or what it needs to be to make sure you have all those deadlines met by the time it's due. Now, something a lot of people don't realize is that October is college application month. Each state has different weeks in October that they consider their college application week. The key is that week of college application week is when it's free to you to apply. Now, a lot of colleges will be $50, $100, $150 to apply, which most people have to just decide, okay, this is the school I want to go to. I'm applying to one. The truth of the matter is if you apply as early as October and you do it during the week that specific college is having their free application week in October, you could apply to multiple colleges throughout the weeks. So for example, Michigan's might be a certain week in October. The state of Ohio or Indiana or Illinois might have a totally different week. You need to know which colleges you're interested in and make sure that you're getting those applications in on their timeline when it doesn't cost you or your family anything. Now, the key to why you would want to apply to several, you might have a top 5 or even a top 10 list. If you could apply to several colleges that week, the benefit is, number one, you are going to get a financial aid letter from each of those colleges based on your FAFSA and all of your information that's been sent to them. They're going to be able to let you know this is the bottom line of how much you would be responsible for if you came to this college. You might be pleasantly surprised to find that there's some money for you at one college and there isn't at another. Now, had you only applied to one, you wouldn't have known. So you want to make sure to apply to multiple places because the application process is so different. It'll get you ready as well as knowing what else is available for you. So look online for those universities and that state to find out when application week is. You might want to think about attending a FAFSA workshop to make sure you know all about financial aid that might be available to you. That would be helpful prior to filling it out your first time. Now, FAFSA workshops are usually available in your high school at the beginning of senior year. If you are even a sophomore or junior, it's okay to sneak in on one of those seminars and understand it well before your senior year. You want to make sure to get to know your teachers and coaches well because they are going to be a key to your success in applying for scholarships. Many scholarships will ask you if you could have somebody write a recommendation letter, and sometimes they're asking for 2 recommendation letters. Those letters can come from a teacher, a coach, a pastor, a youth pastor, somebody in your neighborhood, somebody that you've worked for, a manager, a coworker. You need to make sure that you are putting the vibes out with all of those people that are around you, that you are somebody worthy of investing in. Now, when somebody is on an essay panel or a scholarship selection panel to try to figure out who is the best candidate for that scholarship, they're looking at your application, your essay, your video, whatever it was they required, as well as those recommendation letters to try to see who is it that is best qualified for this. If the person you've chosen to write a recommendation letter for you, a teacher that you might have had your freshman year who really doesn't know you or doesn't know much about you today, that's probably not going to help you win that scholarship. You want to make sure that you're building good relationships all the way through high school. Especially your senior year, you need to be figuring out who is that person that really knows me best or would have something to say about me that could really help me out. No matter if you are that person who's going to college or if you're that parent that's sending someone off to college, the important conversation that needs to happen would understand a little bit about what they're going to be responsible for and what you as a parent might be responsible for. So when someone leaves their parents' home to get their own place, there's an unspoken rule. You left home, now everything to do with finance is all on your own. However, when someone heads off to college, there's a gray area. And a lot of people really don't know what it is that they're responsible for, but they should prepare for it. The adult always knows what's coming and whether they like it or not, how much they're responsible for. The kids, this will be the first time out. They don't know, and they need to understand what it looks like, how much that might cost them. Who's responsible? So the thing you got to figure out is who's going to be responsible for tuition. Is it going to be the parent? Is it going to be the college student? And if it's going to be both, who is going to be responsible for which portion? And what does that look like? And how much? And how much is going to be based on cash that's given right in the moment? And how much for loans later? All of that should be talked about so that a good decision can be made. When kids go off to college and they think that they're taking out loans their parents are going to help them with later, and then they don't, it's quite a shock to the budget. Kids need to know from the start, this is something I'm responsible for, or this is something my parent will help me with. It's okay to take out a little bit of loans. Whatever the situation, and I've seen varied from somebody helping 100% down to somebody helping not at all, and everywhere in between. It doesn't matter what the chosen factor is, as long as it's explained clearly to the college student so that they understand and know, so that the expectation isn't there that there isn't going to be a bill when they finish. The other thing you want to talk about is the room and board portion. A lot of parents don't think about this as a part of their tuition. And then that third part is the books. Most people think, oh, that's nothing. However, books, believe it or not, can cost about half of a semester's tuition for a community college just for the book fees. I've seen book fees for even nursing students and things like that be as much as $1,200 to $1,500 in one semester. It's important to understand books cost a lot of money. Who's going to be responsible for that? Now, let's go backward through the timeline, starting with 12 months out, to figure out what needs to be done. So 12 months prior to leaving for college, you want to have that good discussion about everything that isn't involved in college tuition and books. You want to have a good conversation with your child or with your parent, depending on who you are, about transportation. Who will be responsible for vehicle repairs when that happens while that person's in college? How about weekly gas? Who is going to pay for that? Car insurance, is that something that they're on their own for at the age of 18, or is that something that parents will cover until they graduate? What about those personal items like shampoo, deodorant, toilet paper? You get my drift. How about that cell phone bill? Who's responsible? Weekly outings. If I want to go out with my friends for the weekend and maybe stop through and get a burger and fries and maybe go to a movie, what portion of that am I responsible for? Am I paying for all of it? Am I going to get a weekly allowance while I'm in college? What's the deal? Help me understand that before I go, before I waste all my money. How about laundry? Does the college I'm going to have a facility that takes quarters for the laundry machine, the washer, the dryer? What about all those supplies for laundry detergent, dryer sheets? How about the cleaning supplies that I'll need while I'm in school? Yes, you are expected to make sure your room and your bathroom at college is clean, but that takes supplies and rags and things like that. So I would encourage you 12 months prior to leaving or well before, build your savings account, especially if you're going to be responsible for all of these items. Even if your parents are helping with tuition, there's a lot of other costs that goes into college and living on your own. Now that we've taken care of that, let's talk about 9 months prior to leaving. Because now that we know exactly what we're responsible for, we should be responsible with our own finances. And it would help to do a little practicing prior to going. So 9 months prior to leaving, I would encourage you to have a checking account opened and getting a debit card with that checking account. This will help you because, let's face it, college students aren't writing checks and they're kind of inconvenient, especially when you're just needing to run to the local grocery store or Walmart, whatever it might be, to get some things. It's easy just to use that debit card. So open a checking account, get the debit card, and at that point decide if you want that account to be all of your own or if you would like it to be something joint with a parent. There's pros and cons both ways to that. Now, for a parent who is on account with somebody who is 18 or older, they are equally responsible. So that could be good and it could be bad. Now, for the child, if you have your mom or dad joint on the account with you, that means they are 100% owner of those funds as well, not 50%. They are 100% in, you're 100% in. If they would need to go to the credit union to take out some money, they could legally take money out of your account. Are your parents trustworthy? Can they be responsible with being on your account? Something to think about. On the flip side, parents, if you choose to be jointly responsible and have joint ownership on your, whether it's a minor or an adult account, you are the adult responsible for that account as well. So if said child who is joint with you overdraws that account, your account is also overdrawn because you're joint. If fraud was committed on that account, you are also responsible for that fraud because you are taking joint ownership for all that goes through that account. That's a good conversation to have and understand. Now, understand how to track the running balance and monthly statement for that account because we know you're not planning to overdraft or commit fraud, right? So we want you to understand how to make sure that that running balance is going on that monthly statement. Make sure all those purchases were actually yours. Understand it all. Become familiar with mobile banking, pulling up that app and saying, wow, this is where I'm at. This is what I still need to pay for this month. Understand all of that. You need to figure out how to transfer money from maybe you to parent or parent to you because you may need some money while you're away, and this is the easiest and best way to do it. They do not need to have the access to that account as long as they have an account at that same institution. Let's use Alga Credit Union, for example. If I had the Alga Credit Union app on my phone, I could transfer money from me to my college-age student with the click of a button all hours of the night. Even if it were 2 a.m. and they needed a little bit of cash, I could make that happen with a couple touches of the button. So that's another perk to making sure that you're banking that same place that you were at home rather than finding an institution close to college. Your parents might not have accessibility to get you money as quickly as you need. So keeping that in mind is good. A lot of people will tell you get an account close to where your college is, but if you have a credit union account in your hometown, you go off to college and there's a credit union there as well, you can still use that ATM. You'll want to be strategic about how many times you use it so that you don't go over your free amount allotted every month. So figure out how to transfer money between you and your parents should that be a need. You want to set up on your mobile app account alerts to make sure that it's warning you at your certain balance levels. You are now down to $200. You are now down to $100, whatever it is you want it to tell you. And then the last thing is understanding what happens should you spend more than what you had in there, what that would cost you in a fee or how that would work. Understand all of those basics. This is why I say 9 months prior, because you want to make sure that you have enough time to understand it well before going. Now we're on to 6 months prior. 6 months prior to leaving, you want to make sure that even with planning that you think about emergencies. So emergencies are probably going to happen at some point while you're at college or while your child's at college. It is smart to apply for a credit card so that you have that on hand for an emergency. Because if your checking account is down to $50 and you are driving along and your tire blows out and you need to get one, you shouldn't have to wait a few hours for your parents to come and help you. You should be able to use your credit card, take care of that tow bill, take care of that new tire and things like that right away. Now there's 2 types of credit cards you can get. One would be secured or the other unsecured. Secured is when you back your credit card with your own money. So I would recommend for those high school students who are finishing and getting an open house and their parents throw them a nice party, they get a little bit of cash in hand to put that money away. Save that money, but use a little portion of it to secure a credit card. It'll help you in a time of emergency, but it's money that you're not allowed to touch or use either. It's backing that credit card so that the credit card company is secured. Should you get to a point where you couldn't pay the bill, that security would pay it for you. So that's a nice little feature for a credit card so that you never get into trouble to where you've spent more than what you have and you can't get out of that situation. Without a secured credit card, you may be denied because you might not have credit prior to then. So it's something to think about. 3 months prior to leaving. Probably a good thing to think about taking the summer prior to leaving for college and save as much money as possible. Well, how do you do that? You work. Work all summer, get that money, save it, and it'll have a nice little cushion for you to take to college with you for a lot of those expenses we talked about earlier. If you have an open house to celebrate your high school accomplishments, save the money instead of wasting it away. You might want to begin making a list for all the things you might need while you're away at college, but don't use your entire savings over purchasing things. Those are all of the things that you need to think about prior to leaving for college. Hopefully I've given you some food for thought, some good conversation starters, and you will be on your way to making it in college and financially doing it right. Hopefully you can get through debt-free. If not, you'll have the tools and skills to start thinking responsibly about how much you will owe when you're done. Stay tuned for more opportunities to learn with Financial Fitness Series here at Alga Credit Union. Have a great day.
We're Alga Credit Union.